Do not sleep on the sneakers, and I think these are the best surprise for this year. Mabuhay everyone, MARKCHES here. Welcome to the channel, and for today's video, I'll be giving you my performance review, the full performance review of these two sneakers. Actually, they are brothers. This is the Wade 8082 from Leaning. So this one is the regular version, while this white pair or the cream pair is the Ultra edition. And the main difference we will be talking about in a bit. So before we start off with the performance review, I would just like to remind you guys, if you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, please do so. And of course, your likes in this video will really help out this channel. So guys, these two sneakers are, the absolute surprise for this year. These two came out of nowhere because usually in Leaning, you're watching out the All City 10, which I have, and of course their main line, which is the Wow 10. And this one, the 808 series, it actually didn't have this kind of setup in the first one. And this kind of setup really threw a lot of people out in their sneaker game, and there were a lot of excitement over this. A lot of reviewers such as me were really impressed with this too, and it actually honestly reminds us of the Kobe 8s, Kobe 9s, Kobe 7s. If you love that, I actually had the Kobe 8 before. I wasn't able to play with the 9s because it was kind of too low, because I was usually hooping with the LeBrons and it was really the bulky ones, so I wasn't used to playing with the 8s. And the first time that I wore the 8s, I was really surprised on how low to the ground it was and how light they were, and the responsiveness of those sneakers were really awesome. And the 8082 reminds me a lot of them. So let's talk about first the uppers of this two sneaker. Of course, in the regular version, it has this fused screen mesh on the top layer with an underlining fabric that you can see that it's kind of like a net, a thicker net, and it's an underlining fabric which gives extra support to the upper. And it's quite soft, it's not too fused inside, and once you've broken this in, it's actually comfortable. Don't be afraid that it will become crunchy. It's not. It's just the sound is more on the fusing of the material, so that it gives you the support that you need on your upper, especially when you're doing lateral moves. And as you can see at the edge of the sneaker is this fusing, of course, for durability, and of course for the lateral support that you need when you're doing lateral cuts, side steps. So it really catches your foot here. Another thing that will help out in the lateral support is of course this plastic piece on the lateral side, which is made out of rubber but not too hard, so that it won't give you any discomfort like what happened in the Freak 2s. A lot of people were having some discomfort because of the plastic. It was really hard on that side, but with this one it's kind of soft still, and you're sitting quite low here. You can see the marker here above this Leaning logo. This is where you're sitting, so it really catches your foot laterally, and when you go into the midfoot part also it catches your foot here. So lateral support for the sneaker is really good, given that it's also very low to the ground. So you're very close to the ground, gives you the stability that you need. And that is no difference here in the lateral support of the Ultras. But the main difference that you can see on the uppers is on the regular ones, it's more of the fused part. But on the Ultras, it has the same pattern, but when you touch it, it feels like more of a knit that is wider. If you have played or touched the Jordan 36, it's very similar to the lino weave in the Jordan 36. So it feels like thread, but it's really strong. And there's a little bit of fusing, but not as fused as the ones on the regular ones. And of course, there's also some fusing on the tip here for lateral support. And there's a bit of difference here. There's no holes on the Ultras. This is the logo here, but this one has some holes on the regular ones. But overall, the feel of the lateral support and durability on the toe area, I would say pretty much the same. It's just that this one looks more premium compared to this one. But if you are looking for something that just more futuristic, of course you will like it on the regular ones too. Similar lacing system here, same laces, but the main difference is of course the tongue. The regulars has a regular tongue, but on the Ultras it's a one booty upper with similar holes here near the edge of the tongue. So same ventilation, both have very good ventilation from the entire upper of the sneaker. From the forefoot to the heel, there's a lot of holes, there's a lot of perforation. While on the regular ones, it has a lot of perforation from the forefoot to around the midfoot part, but it stops from there. And there's some extra padding here on the regular ones, and mainly because I think because of the materials, the upper is quite different. But even though this has holes, there's no perforation here anymore at the heel part of the sneaker because the carbon fiber or the heel cup inside is covering this entire piece. It's just more for design. So speaking of heel containment, lockdown, I would say it's kind of better on the Ultras because of this collar. So it's kind of tighter around the collar, where on the regular ones it's more open. Look how big the opening is on the regular ones. It's very easy to put your foot in. There's a lot of padding around the heel, Achilles pillows for this part. So even though the Achilles pillows is really thick, I just will have to warn you, because this is an extra low cut sneaker, you really need to get the right size for you. And unfortunately, there's no leaning store here in the Philippines, and I think even the US, you can just order them online. I would highly recommend to follow your Euro size in your Nike sneakers so that you'll have the best comparison in terms of sizing to the leanings, because if you're basing it to the US size, it's kinda all over the place. So I would suggest go with your Euro size with the leaning Wow 808 Ultra or the regular ones. Another major difference between the two is of course this external heel cup. On the Ultras it's made out of this carbon fiber, while on the regular ones it's made out of this plastic, which I think in my opinion are very similar. But of course the carbon fiber is a lot stronger compared to the regular ones. So durability wise, of course this carbon fiber will last you longer compared to the plastic on the regular ones. But in terms of performance right now, I didn't feel any difference between the two. And another thing that I noticed between the two, like I mentioned about the Achilles pillows, the Achilles pillows are not quite the same on both. If you can see from this angle, it's kind of higher here on the Ultras. So that's one thing that I felt, that I really felt more lockdown on the Ultras compared to the regular ones. So if there's something that you have to take into consideration or take notice on the 808-2 is, like I said, the heel containment issue, because on how wide and low it is. I really recommend you to be careful to get your right size. But if you get your right size, it will give you a good lockdown feel. But in terms of the same size that I got, both US 11s and the lockdown on the Ultras seems to be better compared to the 808-2 regular ones. But both gives you a good lockdown feel, but not excellent. But if you're comparing the two, I would say the Ultras will give you a better lockdown feel. The regular ones have two pull tabs from the tongue and the heel if you're into that, while on the Ultras it has here around the tongue or the front of the collar, and there's none here at the back. It's just a design here at the heel part, but you can pull it like this. So like I said, it's easier to wear the regular ones. Now of course, let's move on to the cushion insole part of these two sneakers, which is the major difference between the two. So let me just take them out. So on the regular ones, we have the Cloud Plus. Look at this gray unit. While on the Ultras, you will be having the Boom cushion. So the Boom cushion is the like a top of the line cushioning from Leaning, and it's very similar to Boost. It has that pellet type texture to it, if you can see it from the back, but it has some extra designs like the woven stitch here. And I would say the Boom cushion is, if you're comparing it with Boost, it feels better, like there's more bounce back to it, because in the impact protection are very similar with Boost, but the bounce back on the Boom cushion is really good on the Leaning brand. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm using Boom in another Leaning sneaker, and it's one of my favorite cushion setup for this year. I won't spoil the surprise, but if you can guess, I think you can guess it if you've been following me in my Instagram and in this channel. I really love that sneaker, but it's also used here in the Ultra edition of the 8082, while on the regular ones it has this Cloud insole. So the main difference between both insole, I would say the heel part of the Boom insole is a little bit thicker compared to this Cloud insole, and the feeling is, if you want more bounciness, more bounce back feel, of course get the Boom edition, the Ultra edition. But if you're okay with a very good impact protection, a slight bounce to it in the forefoot and heel, the regular ones will be good for you too. But for me, if you have extra bucks, I honestly would recommend the Ultras first, because this is 9,000 pesos, this is 6,000 pesos, so that's 3,000 pesos difference. So that's around $60 difference between the two, so that's kind of big in terms of price difference. But if you have excess cash, I would really suggest go straight to the Ultras, because I'm really impressed with the Boom cushion from Leaning. And you can see on the Ultras there's a lining here so that the grip will be lessened, so that sometimes you won't stick your socks on the insole, like especially what I'm experiencing from the GT Cut 1. My socks are being pulled back and I'm having a lot of discomfort if I didn't fix my socks. So your socks won't easily stick here, and it will just slide naturally and normally to the inside of the sneaker. So that's the main difference between the two insoles. Both are great, it's just the difference in your preference. If you want, like I said, more impact protection and a lot of bounce, of course get the Ultra, that's why it's called the Ultra. But if you want just a slight bounce, very good impact protection, you can get the regular versions first. As for the height of these two sneakers inside, just a little difference, like I said, because the heel is thicker a bit here in the Ultra edition, but nothing too drastic. Both are very bendable. You can see without the insole, look how they bend. And of course, another difference between the two insoles is there's extra stability plate here on the Ultras for torsional support too, and the regular ones doesn't have that. But I think because the Boom, or the Cloud, I mean the Cloud insole is a little bit stiffer, if you're comparing it with the Boom is more flexible, so that's why I think they put an extra plastic stability or torsional plate here in the insole of the Ultra. Now let's go to the outsole. They both have the same traction pattern, and the traction on these are amazing, especially after breaking them in. The traction, it grips really hard to the floor. Amazing bite. Dust pickup is not a problem, and even on a moist floor they can still stick compared to the other sneakers out in the market. And I'm really loving the traction here on the 8082, and honestly I'm not surprised, because even on the Wow 10s, the All City, I mean all the tractions were amazing from Leaning. Really props to Leaning for giving us a very good traction pattern. Very durable rubber. even though this is quite thin, but I think you can use this outdoors if you wanted to. And amazing bite on dusty floor, especially on a clean court too. And what's nice about these two sneakers, both have that amazing lateral outrigger. As you can see from this lateral view of the sneaker, both have that lateral support for stability, and it's really wide in the forefoot too, so it really gives you an amazing stability and balance to the sneaker. And given that it is really close to the ground, you're very quick to these two sneakers when you're playing. Responsiveness is awesome, court feel is awesome, cushion is awesome for a very low profile sneaker. Really impressed with these two sneakers. And of course, let's test out the weight first. So on the regular ones with the insole, let's put it on top, it's 445 regular ones, while on the ultras it's 460 grams. So on the average, so it's lighter on the regular ones, mainly because of the, I think, of the upper. Usually knit uppers are kind of heavier in terms of materials, but that's just a slight difference. You really won't notice it that much. Like I said, for my verdict for these two sneakers, amazing performer. Really surprised for the 2020 year. And the difference is, it's just that depending on your budget, if you have more budget, I would suggest get the Ultra Edition for a bouncier feel, a more premium upper, and of course, very good impact protection. But if you're more on budget, the regular ones really won't disappoint. I have a lot of friends and subscribers that I highly recommended this sneaker, and once they got it, they really thanked me for introducing Li-Ning to them, because they were kind of afraid first on trying out Li-Ning because it's a China brand and they're usually used to the big brands, of course, and they said that it really plays like Kobe's, the Kobe 8 specifically. And what's nice about this is, if you have two pairs like me, is you can interchange the insole. And I actually did that here on my other pair, on this blue colorway, because I have a uniform close to this color, so I changed it up and put the boom insole here on this blue colorway, so you can interchange the insole. Unfortunately, Li-Ning is not just selling insoles, but you have to buy the entire shoe. You can play around with it. That's what's important, and that's what's cool about this sneaker. So that's it on my performance review of the Wade 808 Ultra and regular version. Let me know which one you would choose, or if you have bought them, let me know what you think about the sneaker and how it performed. Do you agree with me? Hit me a comment down below. This has been MARKCHES. Once again, thank you for dropping by this channel. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!